Okay, friends, having a bit of difficulty getting the color right. This will have to do for now. You've been very gracious in your comments on my recent videos, and I'm grateful for that. It really is an interchange that we have here on sites like YouTube in particular. It's as much a social thing as it is just putting up the videos. My videos go up at the same time to a number of sites. There are some free services out there that let you do that, so they can also be found on, I used to put them up to Daily Motion, but the current ones are on Vimeo and they're on VodPod, and there's, they go to iTunes as a podcast, and just a number of places. And yet, YouTube is by far and away the most social. This is where you get the comments, the interaction, and you can really connect with people. And it's neat. I mean, we connect with someone anytime we're looking at their videos anyway. There's energetic connection that simply a part of that looking. But for the most part, especially if we're in mind, we're unaware of that. And we don't realize that we're getting feedback, that we're tuning in even perhaps to some of the thoughts of the person whose video we're watching. I remember back when I used to watch TV, and not too long before I quit watching it, I remember how distracting it was watching it, and at the same time being aware of the energetic transfer there. And so I was aware of what those people were thinking. Actors in particular, if they're not totally focused on their part as if they are that, it's very distracting. You realize they're thinking about their ham sandwich for lunch, or their date last night, or whatever it is, what the director is saying, or just it becomes, we're shifting not only our locus of identity from the mind to the heart, but even in our, shall I call it a mental awareness? I don't know if it's that. I'm not what I would call fully awakened by any means. There are always going to be more and less, people ahead of you and people behind you. I think that's the nature of 3D. I think it's a property of the material cosmos. It could also be looked at like a daisy chain that we weave, and we're helped by the one that's ahead of us, and we extend the helping hand in support of the one behind us. That's too linear. It's more fractal than that, such that simply winning your own battles, working within your own self, on your own consciousness. It's bizarre, but it makes a difference to the whole. And the mind doesn't grok this. The mind doesn't get it. It doesn't make sense to the linear mind. Well, duh, it's not linear, and that's just a function of mind being linear like that. I really like the, oh gosh, what the bleep do we know, or further down the rabbit hole, I forget which one, but I think Dr. Quantum in Flatland was a part of that. And that's a really favorite video of mine. I linked up to it in the last vid. I'll link to it again here, because I think it does a very good job of showing what the distinctions and the transition might be from 2 dimensions, which would be a flat plane, flatland, to 3, where you have volume. As Nassim Haramein, says his geometry teacher taught, you don't have anything real until you have the 3 dimensions. Well, I'm with Nassim on that. You don't take levels 1, 2, and 3 of nothing and then all of a sudden create something. Or 0, 1, and 2. Anyway, so we have just as graphic a transition from the head to the heart as is demonstrated in the transition from 2D to 3D. And many thanks to all the minds that have gone before contemplating this issue of what would it be like to be a civilization or to be beings of only 2 dimensions and not to have that third one of depth, length and width, nothing more. And some really great thinking has gone into that over a very long period of time. The Flatland concept translates back, I think, to the early 1900s. I'm not certain, though. I am no longer an authority for factual data. And I'll make it very clear when I have a good solid fact. But for the most part, I'm more of the shotgun than the rifle these days when it comes to the mind. I just don't care enough. To me, whatever mind has to say is not the point. The point is not in the details. The details can be useful and so on. We want accuracy in the working of mind. And the details can absolutely be critical, as in, H2O or H3O. It's just not a detail when looked at from that perspective. But from the heart perspective, things just generally aren't found at the detail level. That's the factual level. That's the surface. That's the superficial presentation, instead of what's riding under that. What's the energy involved? And energy isn't, I guess it's non-local. I don't know really, but it can't be pinned down into something like a detail. It's not capturable that way. And we're energy beings. The reminder again, all of your atoms are largely empty space. You're really not there, not in the way mind conceives you to be. And it's most likely a function of the power of mind that things seem the way they do, and that there can be such dire consequences to one thing that's not there encountering or crashing into another thing that's not there. Clearly, when there's a belief in thingness, in the solidity of matter, that has some interesting consequences. I mean, bottom line, the collision is not there either, but we won't go there for now. Step by step. I was recently inspired in a conversation online with someone in Skype. It is so refreshing to encounter people of heart, people who have taken this walk already, find it much easier to converse and commune with one another because there's not the usefulness that I find in explaining some things, most often saying what I am not meaning, rather than, trying to say what I am meaning. But it was so refreshing. And so just a little heads up, I might try a few videos going forward where I just let loose and let fly without concern for helping people understand. Because, there are a lot of us out there. And it's my understanding and belief that there are more and more each and every day that totally get it. You know, we're not perfect. We're not walking on water just yet, but I don't see any reason that that won't be happening. I mean, come on. It's a level of dreamland. There's absolutely nothing. Who is it? Jessica Mystic. I love the way she says there are no limits, only beliefs. Now, I don't know if that's original with her or she got it elsewhere, but do take a really good look at it. The next time you're up against some kind of limit or another, we can't always triumph over or overcome or whatever. We can't always win the outer encounter. But that's okay, because the real work that is done is going on inside. That's the work that we're doing. It's internal. And as we excavate, well, first you have to see something. Okay, if you can't see it, you're stuck. And you're either manipulated by it or it's setting boundaries and parameters in your life that you're just accepting. You're not aware that those are flexible, that those don't necessarily exist. So first we have to see something. And that is my delight and my joy in opening all of the boundaries. I don't care where the life is from. I don't care what form it takes. Does it matter? I don't think so. Life is life is life, And so looking at things from different perspectives has always been my deep joy. I would get next to someone from another country or who had an accent or something and try to engage them in conversation to find out what it's like to be them. What does life look like through those eyes with that different culture, the different parameters that, nature versus nurture kind of thing. And so I really do encourage that. But the work that we do is on ourselves. Ultimately, we'll all find that that's all there is the one self that we are. Forget mind, it doesn't make sense to mind. So what? All right, let's do a whole lot more so whatting to whatever mind has to say. And keep coming back to center. Center is powerful. We have power unrecognized and untouched. And again, something must first be seen. And then once it's seen, as we're doing our observing, we can look deeper. We can set the intent to look at okay, what are the underpinnings of that? I see that acting here where I am. Now, what's beneath it? And so this is what I call the excavating, the going down deeper. Self-inquiry is another way, to express it. Same thing. It's the same mountain we're climbing, and it's the same source or reality or isness or God, which is not a being, not at all. I often wonder, we put a body and a face and a mouth on God so that God can utter words and speak with us. We anthropomorphize God. And I often wonder, creation was via sound. In what way this sound was originated, how that worked. Because God is more of a principle. To me, it's very impersonal. Ultra personal on the one hand or on the one side of the coin. Totally impersonal on the other. It's like fire. Fire doesn't particularly care if you get burned. Fire's just being fire. It has no intent to harm you. And no particular concern, you know. So I kind of look at that's part of the nature of life. And it's in our best interests to get to know all of it from the inside so that we can approach truth instead of all of these opinions and ideas that we're full of. Have a good day.